Good day to all. Welcome to Extreme Recap. Welcome to Extreme Recap, everyone. Two great warriors band together in a nation ruled by a foreign army and face bizarre obstacles to save their families and free their people from oppression. Today, we will recap the account of the film. R from 2022 shows a little girl drawing on the hands of a European woman while singing a beautiful song in an Indian village in the ugly foreign forest. Molly's talent enchants everyone, but everything changes when Scott Buxton and his soldiers arrive. Catherine shows Scott Buxton the artwork the young woman has created and tells him she wants to hire her as a servant. After that, Edward makes an offer of money to Loki, the girl's mother. The woman decides to take the coins because she thinks they are payment for her daughter drawing. She discovers, however, a few minutes later, that Catherine had in fact intended to purchase Molly, treating her like a commodity. After pushing the girl into the car, the woman, Loki, runs after them. She begs the English to return her daughter because she is desperate to get her daughter back. The native is shot in the head by a soldier as he approaches. However, it stopped firing before he could execute the shot. Scott tells the man to find a different way to kill Loki because that bullet is too valuable to use on those people. The man then strikes the young woman in the head with a piece of wood, right in front of her daughter. In the meantime, a revolt breaks out on the outskirts of Delhi. Individuals accumulate to request that they discharge their chief, any other way they will copy down the entire spot, trying to prevent the radicals from raging the office. Raju gets through the wall and goes after them. He is the only one daring to the point of confronting them and figures out how to overcome many men, independently, in any event, when the gathering joins to attempt to immobilize him. Roger doesn't surrender his main goal and demands catching the one who tossed a stone at the army installation. As a result, he engages in combat with the rebels who attempt to stop him from approaching and moves forward until he finally reaches his target. His superiors are impressed by his determination to fight despite a significant disadvantage as they observe the battle. Raju refuses to give in to his foes. The man drags his victim into the facility after capturing him. After washing his bloodied face, he returns to his position and causes fear among the group of men who were unable to bring him down, executing his commander's directive. Roger is extremely dissatisfied that he cannot become a special officer despite all of his hard work and dedication. So he channels this dissatisfaction into preparing and even figures out how to destroy a barricade with the power of his punches. 6 months later, Venkat A.V. Adani visits Edward and informs him that Governor Scott and his wife of the Abad village took a young girl while Edward was in Utah. This could prompt large issues for them, for albeit the Gandhi are a serene group, they are very affectionate like a crowd, and as in each run, there is a shepherd who safeguards the gathering at any expense, regardless of whether it costs him his life. Beam has already arrived on the outskirts of Delhi to retrieve his lost sheep and is in charge of looking after those individuals. Wolf is enticed into a trap by the man, who uses his own body as bait because he is so powerful. He spots the footprint of a tiger while being chased through the forest, so he entices his prey directly into the tiger's claws. The wolf decides to run away when the two animals collide. Bar is then sought after by the tiger. And when he reaches a particular region of the forest, he has fallen for a trap. The creature battles to attempt to get free, however the man holds the ropes and keeps the animal from going after him. The tiger breaks free when it is attacked, and the rope snaps in just as he is about to join the two hooks. After hunting with his friends, the shepherd makes his way to the town in the hope of finding some information regarding Molly's whereabouts. Beam applies a tranquilizer to the animal's snout, which causes it to die immediately. Beam works in a workshop. One day, one of the police officers makes the humiliating claim that the poor man is attempting to steal his money. He is immediately attacked by Robert in all his fury. After inflicting numerous blows on the poor man, the soldier decides to leave, despite the fact that he is powerful enough to defeat him. The family also treats Beam's injuries. That killed him. When asked why he did not respond with a defense, the man says he doesn't want to let his cover down. Not to mention jeopardize the existences of individuals who have given sanctuary to him. Edward decides to enlist the assistance of the British Army to deal with this threat after receiving a warning about the pastor's arrival. But when Edward is asked about the invader's physical characteristics, he says he doesn't know anything about him. Catherine offers a reward to get her men to get rid of Beam. She says that whoever figures out how to catch him will be elevated to the position of exceptional official. Raju realizes that this is his chance to achieve his goal after hearing this, and he quickly steps forward to carry out this task. Capture. Even though he is aware that doing so would jeopardize his cover, Beam decides to intervene when he sees one of his people being attacked by a soldier that afternoon. However, before he could react, an Englishwoman appears and instructs the officer to ignore the plight of the employee. When Beam arrives, Jenny gently encourages the man to return home and assists him to his feet. He becomes interested in meeting this young woman after being impressed. Afterward, Raju and his uncle invade a gathering held by the radicals. The traitor then suggests a strategy to remove Governor Scott from office. Furthermore, one of the men present takes the bait and blocks you. Chooses to proceed to ask Raju for help in setting his strategy in motion and illuminates him that Scott has committed an extraordinary foul play against his town. The more bizarre then illuminates him that he will acquaint Raju with his companions. However, he decides to flee when he realizes the man is a policeman on the way there. Lotto makes his way through the city's narrow streets and alleys before coming across a busy street. He blends into the crowd while the officer continues to look for his target, which is how he manages to get away. Beam gives a young man a coin so that he can get him a fresh fish. Abruptly Hook, who shows up and enlightens him regarding the difficulty he has quite recently set himself into to protect him. Beam instructs his friend to hide at home. A train is currently traveling across the bridge above the river when it bursts due to a problem with the tracks. One of the wagons is tossed out after a sudden explosion. The young fisherman is knocked into the water by the accident, and Beam immediately starts thinking of a way to save him. Raju makes the decision to join the man because he is so eager to assist the young man. What's more, Bar takes a bike to rapidly get to the scaffold. All at once, the official mounts a pony and starts the salvage plan. To hang from the bridge, the two men tie themselves to a rope and separate. Beam throws the young boy to Raju after saving him, and he uses a flag to shield his body from the blazes that are all over the place. They must collaborate to save themselves after the little fisherman is safe, and they hold hands to celebrate their mission's success. At the point when they return to the waterway bank, they are greeted with joy by the locals, and from that day on, they form a lasting friendship. The unlikely friends never forget that they are fighting on opposite sides of the conflict. Raju uses a sketch of Lachu to try to find him over the next few days. However, as time passes, he is unable to obtain any information. The two rivals' friendship develops. What's more, they ultimately become individuals from one another's loved ones. However, despite their close friendship, neither of them has the courage to reveal their true identities. As a result, Beam has no idea that Raju is a police officer, and the officer has no idea that the person he refers to as his brother is actually his biggest target when he rides on Beam's motorcycle one day. Raju makes the decision to display the man's portrait. The drawing, on the other hand, is destroyed when the sheet of paper slides into a puddle. As of now, the shepherd spots Jenny and Raju before long understands that his companion is infatuated with her. Consequently, he thinks of an arrangement to unite the two. The official takes a modest bunch of nails and requests that Bar surpass the lady's vehicle. He then, at that point, tosses the nails on the ground so the tires of her vehicle are obliterated. Raju asks his friend to take Jenny for a ride when she asks for help. When they arrive at the market, the woman informs him that she must purchase some presents for the Indian girl who lives in her mansion. After hearing this, Pillar understands that Molly is alive and is incredibly cheerful. He creates a bracelet and requests Jenny to present the girl with it. Madam Chauffeur appears shortly after and invites her home. Beam, on the other hand, is invited to the gink party by her during the farewell. On that evening in a club, Jenny goes to give the presents to Molly when she gets home. When Molly sees the yellow bracelet, she is overjoyed because she knows that her pastor is there to save her. Following the meeting, Pillar goes to see his companion and lets him know that he has been welcomed to a party. When the two of them arrive at the club, Jenny is eager to welcome her new friend, and Jake is envious. The two of them decide to get ready to go to the party together. The woman teaches her guest to dance as the couple moves onto the dance floor. Beam is learning quickly until Jake knocks him down and starts to make fun of him. After the mishap, The haughty man provokes Pillar to a dance stool, and Raju chooses to intercede. The couple collaborate to play out a commonplace movement of their kin, called Daisy. And every one of the visitors feel tainted by the music. Jake and his friends get even angrier when the ladies leave their dates to participate in the choreography, which happens quickly. As a result, they organize a competition to determine who will be the last dancer standing. In addition, the two friends become the last competitors after a short period of time. Raju wants to assist Jenny in being impressed. To win the duel, he therefore pretends to be cramped. The woman invites Beam to her house for tea at the party's conclusion. Additionally, the officer decides to return to locate Lacho. When he found the man, his hands were covered in paint, as he recalls. After much searching, he decides to look for him in all of the city's galleries. Raju also manages to capture him with the assistance of his uncle and transport the outcast to an abandoned warehouse. At the point when he shows up at Jenny's home, Bar is overpowered by the glory of the spot he is going to cross the entryways. At the point when he is come by Robert, however, his companion is there to shield him. And cases that the man is her visitor while they are both talking and drinking tea. Pillar pays attention to a tune by Molly and cases to be. Only to be distracted in order to swiftly navigate the palace's corridors in search of the girl. Finally, the shepherd locates his lost sheep. In any case, before long understands that he cannot free it all alone. So he decides to leave before the guards catch him and tries to calm the girl down by reminding her that she will soon be home. In that instant, the policeman who attacked Lachi was questioning him to find out where his friends were hiding. Raju eventually rips off his necklace and decides to take a break as the man continues to be viciously attacked for refusing to provide any information. Because the other half is with Shiva, the soldier's fiancé, that necklace holds a very special significance for him. Whom he has not seen for certain years, hours after the fact, hotel. Who manages to catch the attention of a poisonous snake in the warehouse. After we took it. When Roger gets close, the man throws the snake at him while he waits for the soldier to return. Roger's life is in jeopardy at that very moment due to the lack of an antidote to that poison, even among the English. The officer decides to let his prisoner out because he only has one more hour to live and goes after his best friend to say goodbye. Pillar is wanting to storm the palace that evening with his companions since there will be a major festival to observe Scott's return in the wake of characterizing everything about. Beam decides to go check out what is going on after hearing some synchronized beats as the trio sets out to carry out their plan, realizing that his friend was close to death. The man begins immediately to prepare a remedy to remove the poison from his body as soon as he realizes he has been stung, fearful of failing. Raju Beam places his friend's sacred cord around his neck after removing his sacred cord. The officer recalls that his prisoner was sporting the same accessory at that exact moment. Beam takes Roger to his home and asks him to rest with the promise that he will be fine the next day before leaving. Beam decides to tell his friend the truth and says that he is there to save Molly all the while the man he was looking for was standing right next to him after performing all of the necessary treatment procedures. Raju tries to get up when he sees his target leaving to stop him from carrying out his plan, but he is still weak and can't even talk for hours as he gets better. The officer decides to carry out his plan because he is unable to contain his anger at having to oppose his best friend. In the meantime, Beam and the other villagers break into the palace and let loose a lot of wild animals to distract the guards. During the attack, everyone is focused on getting away from those beasts. Beam, who is one of the few people with the agility to withstand the Taiga's attack, finds this advantageous. Seeing her shepherd in the royal residence, Molly attempts to stand out and begin yelling his name. She is pushed into the castle by a guard, who locks the door and pushes her in. Robert then succumbs to the man's fury and is attacked, causing him to lose the battle and sustain serious injuries. This very moment, Beam is rushing toward the castle after successfully obtaining the key. At the point when he hears the voice of his old buddy, out of nowhere he experiences an assault and asks why Roger is wearing a tactical uniform. The official attempts to capture him, yet Pillar claims he misunderstands, sat idle and attempts to persuade his closest companion that he is battling for a respectable objective. However, when Beam is attacked by a fictitious friend, Raju is determined to capture him. He eventually loses the key he was holding, resulting in his fury. After this, he starts to go after Raju severely and the two fought with a lot of blows until Beam found a hole where he could climb the palace and try to find Molly there. The shepherd, on the other hand, sees his sheep in danger and surrounded by wolves when he looks down. Raju prevents the man from going there after he decides to. Who has the chance to take out his companion with a solitary assault, yet chooses to save him. Shaft then figures out how to wreck his rival and punctures his chest. Notwithstanding being truly injured, the police officer attempts to keep the shepherd from prevailing in his arrangement and utilizations the young fellow's own line to rope him, keeping him from moving toward Molly. Raju is promoted to special officer a few days later for successfully capturing the beam. He remembers his father's training as he targets practice now that he has finally access to all army weapons. Vancouver Rama was a previous military man who betrayed the English armed force in the wake of seeing a very malevolent circumstance, since he accepts that Indian lives are worth not as much as his own. Whenever there was a detainee disposal, Scott denied the troopers to exhaust their ammo. The request was to utilize different means to dispense with his adversaries, resulting in a final brutal and painful attack. Burnt out on seeing these barbarities, then, at that point, Karama chose to get back to his town and train his kin to safeguard themselves. The issue is that there are insufficient weapons and insufficient ammo for those individuals to retaliate. This makes them easy prey for the army of the enemy. Vancouver Rama decides to punish Raju one day during a training session when he finds out that Raju had used his concealed weapon the night before. Nonetheless, Celia gets before the young fellow and uncovers that Raju is awesome at sport shooting. His father decides to check the results because he is curious. He finds that the young man was able to shoot very accurately from a long range. The news then gives Kara Rama hope, and he plans to teach his son how to shoot professionally. Notwithstanding, when they return to the town, a surprise attack by dozens of armed guards surprises his people. Endless guiltless lives were required that day in Vancouver, chooses to defy the military so his relatives can get away. In any case, when his ammo runs out, Raju chooses to assist him and takes a chest with fulling of shots to his dad. Army Vancouver Rama was shot and severely wounded after the enemy had been eliminated. Incapable to keep shooting, the man requests that Raju have his spot. Furthermore, the young man utilizes his father's right, for the first time in his life, facing an enemy army. In the interim, his relatives make a move to escape, yet Chennai is shot during the break. Seeing her child on the ground, Sarojini gets back to help him and is likewise shot in the wake of losing his mom and more youthful sibling. Realizing that they are losing the battle, Raju uses all of his hatred as fuel to continue the battle and eliminate the soldiers. To devise a new plan, the military retreats. Vancouver accepted that guns were the arrangement so his kin would never again should be mistreated and states that on the off chance that each Indian had a firearm, the Europeans would disappear until the end of time. Before he bites the dust, the man demands that his son swear that one day he will give each of his family members a gun so that they can defend themselves. At the point when the fighters return, just a single projectile remaining parts. Therefore, Vancouver Rama makes the decision to confront them. While his son gets ready to shoot, the man moves closer and closer to his enemies. Vancouver is covered in bombs when Raju shoots him in the body. As a result, both were able to blow up the entire army of the enemy. Raju had to break into the enemy army and win the British's trust in order to keep his promise to his father. He manages to write his fiancée a letter from time to time. This time, he tells her that Roger will soon be able to deliver weapons to his village because he is a special officer and has access to the weapons depot. The man, on the other hand, lives in a dilemma because he must safeguard his people. He has consumed long periods of his time on Earth harming the individuals who battle for similar goals. In addition, the man regrets betraying his best friend and wonders if this was the right choice. To teach all those who dare to challenge the crown, Bhim will now be publicly flogged. In order to avoid being severely punished, Raju is in charge of carrying out the punishment. Bhim has no choice but to kneel before his master and plead for his pardon. To avoid being eliminated, Roger begs his friend to comply with the demand. However, Catherine Hahn's Raju, a spiked whip, is used by the officer because the man wants to act as a symbol of resistance and hope for his people during the attack. His best buddy. After a lot of blows, Bhim passes out, but his bravery and determination motivate everyone else to resist oppression. A rebellion breaks out at this point, and Bhim is taken to jail. He will be publicly eliminated in 2 days. Additionally, Raju makes the decision to assist Molly and his friend in escaping, even if it means risking his own life. Bhim is transported to the transport truck on the big day, followed by catastrophe. In order to free him from his chains, Lou slyly thrusts a knife into his hands. Roger suggests taking Molly to see his friend get rid of himself. Additionally, Commander Scott endorses it. Raju puts his plan into action and knocks down a tree on top of the vehicle where the commander is, knowing that it will make his enemy even more terrified. As they are about to arrive at the scene of the young man's death, Raju does this. The man begins shooting the traitor after narrowly escaping the accident unharmed. Raju flips the car over at that point, and Molly is thrown far away while a tree branch pierces his body. The young lady then, at that point, escapes through the timberland. Additionally, Raju pursues her in an effort to stop the soldiers from catching her. In the meantime, despite being wounded, Bhim cuts the rope that binds his wrists and attacks the guards. Raju dispenses with the military and guarantees the young lady's well-being. However, because he believed Molly to be the target, he is Bhim attacked when he draws his gun to fire at one of the soldiers. The two escape while Raju lies wounded on the ground, and the military man attacks his co-workers to prevent them from following them. At the point when the two companions are far away, the man surrenders and is eventually taken into custody. Despite living in appalling conditions, the soldier refuses to surrender and continues to work on his body and mind in preparation for the day he can escape. Angry Scott orders the guards to attack the traitor and then places him in isolation. Raju barely has room to stand there. When the army arrives at the shelter where Bhim and Molly are hiding, they search every house in the establishment in the city for the fugitives. See those who are also present and observes their helplessness. She decides to intervene and informs the soldiers that some people in that area are showing signs of tuberculosis. Bhim notices the woman's necklace while they are talking at dinner and quickly recalls that Raju has the same pendant. The soldiers immediately leave and see the joins. Right now, the man finds that Shiva is locked into his close buddy and inquires as to why she is there. The young woman then explains that she has received a letter informing her that her fiancé will soon be kicked out for lying to the crown. When he learns the whole truth about Roger's plans and the reason he was arrested, she ought to go get his body. Bar feels regretful for leaving his companion and commitments that he will take him back to his lady. Bhim heads to the prison that night and crawls across the floor in search of his friend's cell. Since he is severely injured and unable to run, he places Roger on his shoulders and rips off the railing with his bare hands as soon as he locates him. The guards begin chasing them as soon as they notice the movement, but Raju uses his own rifles to attack the pair after they manage to dodge. The two friends attempt to flee by scaling a tower and killing the guard. After that, they leap to the other side of the wall and run through the forest to get away. Bhim goes to a lake to drink water after treating the injuries of his friend, but just as he was about to be eliminated, he is surrounded by the enemy army. Raju appears and kills the soldiers with the bow and arrow he found in the forest, setting everything around him on fire. Lastly, Raju fires at the survivors without missing a single one. At the point when new foes show up on the scene, Pillar utilizes a lance to explode the vehicles and dispose of them. When all other options have been exhausted, the former policeman launches grenades at the approaching military. With their foes, the duo engages in hand-to-hand combat. Bhim hurls a motorcycle at the insane man and pierces his abdomen with a spear before Raju is shot by Edward in order to defend his friend. The two friends chase the commander and throw a flaming motorcycle at his castle after the soldiers have been eliminated. The fire hits many boxes of explosives that set off a monstrous blast and obliterate everybody. Throughout the palace, Scott becomes enraged after seeing his beloved wife die and decides to fight against those who have challenged him alone. However, Bhim fires a bullet into his chest before he could even fire the first shot. The pair are reunited with their families after eliminating all British Crown allies. In addition, Raju is overjoyed to be back with his fiancée after so many years apart. Together, they brought a supply of weapons back to their village. Furthermore, Raju is at long last ready to satisfy the commitment he made to his dad when he was as yet a kid. Despite the girl's belief to the contrary, Molly's mother survived the attack and is thrilled to see her, and Bhim successfully completes his mission and safely returns her to her home. Turn on notifications. Please subscribe for more videos like this, and like the channel to support it. Thank you very much for watching.